I know that a lot of you have been wanting to get into podcasting, but many of you are also pretty hung up on figuring out exactly just what is the best budget equipment for your project. And I have to say that for a budget podcast, you should definitely stick to the smallest budget possible. And in this video, I would actually like to go ahead and show you how to produce a podcast through Podcastle.ai. This platform is being designed from the ground up to work seamlessly for podcasting on a budget, and I'll be here to walk you through exactly how to use that. Now, this video is brought to you by Podcastle, by the way, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Before we jump into this tutorial, I actually kind of wanted to talk about some of the best equipment for podcasting that you could use to make the most out of your podcast and, well, Podcastle in general. I personally think that the Samsung Q2U is the best budget microphone at around $70, and this can be used as both a USB and XLR microphone. I actually did an entire full review of this microphone on the channel, so you should be seeing maybe an annotation somewhere around here. However, since we want to stick to a budget, we're going to stick with the USB configuration since it does keep us from buying other equipment, at the very least for the time being. Now, this microphone also sounds incredible for the money, so I strongly encourage you to get it if you are planning on sticking to a smaller budget, and even if you do want to go the XLR route. However, for the purposes of this video, we are only doing USB. And alright, well, here we go. So right now, we are actually right here on the main dashboard for Podcastle.ai, and as you can see, I'm using the Samsung Q2U, which again, as I do keep iterating, this is a very good microphone, and it does in fact come with this windscreen in case you were interested in that. So now I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how to go ahead and start a project. So over here, like you can see everything that I've already gone ahead and set up in the past. Like I've actually got 2 projects saved over here, and one very important thing that I should do is just go ahead and enable my microphone for this particular site, so that way I can use my microphone when recording audio right onto this service. So then what I'm going to do from here is actually go ahead and click on new project, and then from here it's actually going to show me four different things that I can do. Import file in case we want to import any kind of other recordings like previous recordings or anything like that, maybe even sound effects or anything of the sort, or if we want to start doing things or recording directly onto the site, this is going to be a fantastic way of doing it too. It's going to be right here. And then text to speech, it's not really going to be completely accurate all of the time, and it's not always going to be quite as fast either. However, that option is still available if you would like that instead. And then there's also going to be the option to interview a guest. And now we're going to be testing this part out pretty soon, actually, because one thing that I really love about Podcastle is that it can do multi-track recording without having to download any kind of software or anything like that. It lets you do that right off the bat without any issues. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how to work around that. So I'm not going to be necessarily importing any kind of files. I'm just going to go ahead and click on record, and I'm going to go ahead and record the intro to a podcast per se. Like in this case, it's going to be something maybe perhaps about the Steam Deck being delayed and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and press record and then give you guys a sample of what that would sound like and then play it back. So the Steam Deck has actually been delayed, unfortunately, at the earliest for February of 2022, which a lot of people are definitely pretty upset about. Now, with that said, this is going to be the main topic of tonight's episode. My name is Francisco, and as you can see, the audio does sound very clean, even going through an online feed like this. You're still getting very good quality out of it, which is always appreciated. And you can do things actually like just going ahead and shrinking it if you feel like you don't really need that much space or anything like that. Like for instance, there was actually a pretty long pause around the beginning, and then now you have a smaller file. So now we have a much more favorable intro, I want to say, considering that this is just a lot more of a pretty good length. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and just add another track, all that I have to do is just go ahead and click on add new track over here. And then in this section, I can actually go ahead and record an individual section as well. Like just in case maybe I want to save this track, or if I want to put a pre-recorded track onto this portion in particular, I can also do that without issues. However, the main thing that I really want to do is to actually just go ahead and test out how the interview process would go. So I'm going to go ahead and actually give a friend of mine a call, and hopefully you guys will be able to understand everything, and you're going to be able to see exactly how Podcastle records everything for you, and it's super efficient. Just go ahead and take a look. And then so firstly, you would just go ahead and click over here, like where it says invite people, and then just go ahead and click on copy, and then you would go ahead and send that to the friend or coworker, co-host, or guest that you would like to have on the podcast, and then they can go ahead and log in as well, and then that's how it all would begin from there. And as you can see, now I do have somebody else over here on the line with me, so this is going to be my let's say guest host, or I suppose guest for this pretend podcast episode that we are currently doing for the sake of showing off the prowess of Podcastle. Now, Mr. Rickster, can you please go ahead and say something?
Hello.
There we go. Yeah, you sound wonderful.
Hey.
Sound wonderful. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and click on start recording, and then this is going to allow us to be able to start recording in two different channels. So my voice is going to be in one channel, and then your voice is going to be in another, or at the very least that's how it should be. So now that I started recording, it's pretty much only showing me the counter. It's not really showing me anything else besides that at the moment. However, Ricky, I really need you to tell me, how do you feel about the Steam Deck being delayed until February?
It's the worst thing ever, man. It's devastating.
I know. I too cry at night sometimes, thinking about it.
Play Skyrim on that thing, man. On the
Me,
go.
me too. Like, it's so funny that you mentioned that. I really wanted to play Skyrim for like the 10th time on it. I was even planning on buying it again.
Yeah, man. Like I didn't even buy.
So as you can see, I just went ahead and I ended the interview. So then over here, I can just go ahead and click on continue editing. This is going to show me both tracks, in fact, of both me, the host, and then Ricky, who was the co-host. So you should be able to hear both of our voices coming along, and you should also be able to move them about. And then let's see how both of these can actually come together as a whole. So let's go ahead and press play from here. So now that I started recording, it's pretty much only showing me the counter. It's not really showing me. And as you can see over on this side, like, you can hear me totally fine. And then on this side down here, you should also be able to hear my co-host and his voice completely fine. And again, since these are both two split files, I can edit them separately. And luckily, another great thing that I really like about this actually is that I can go ahead and even add enhancements to the audio for these. So what I'm going to do is actually that I'm going to go ahead and click on the magic dust button, which is going to allow essentially for changes. And just to make sure that any kind of background noise is gone rid of or anything like that, there isn't anything fine-tuned on here quite yet. However, this does go a pretty long way in trying to get rid of any kind of background noise or anything like that. So a lot of people, I'm sure, will appreciate that, especially since not everybody really has a sound-treated room or like a properly soundproof room. So this is what it would sound like now. Let's go ahead and see.
Play Skyrim on that thing, man. On the go.
Me too. Like, it's so funny that you mentioned that. I really wanted to play Skyrim for like the 10th time. And there you go. No background noise from, let's say, things like my PC fans or anything like that. So that's actually been taken care of pretty nicely, I would say. And you can even see on the wavelengths over here what has been edited, what has been changed, and also what has been brought down in terms of like the frequencies as well as what has been increased. Unfortunately, again, there isn't any kind of fine-tuning that you can do of your own. However, this is still pretty solid, and it is going to work out, I would say, for most people, though I would say that this feature in and of itself does need a little bit more work, if anything. So then from here, what I can do, if I'm happy with this episode, is just go ahead and click on something like, let's say, export. And then I can go ahead and just export it as an audio file. And I can do MP3, I can do WAV, and many things along the lines. So this is going to be a very cool way of getting your files down. And then from there, like, you can just upload it to just about any platform that you want, since everything is going to be recorded and edited in one place, and you can just extract that and then upload it elsewhere in order to make that available to as many people as possible. And that's one of the many reasons why I think that this project is absolutely fantastic. And as you can see, this is a very easy to use service that does allow you to get your work done from one place and then just pretty much get the clean file from there in higher quality settings to really make the most out of it. And the folks over at Podcastle are also working towards having video integration for those who have a video podcast, for instance, such as myself. Which, by the way, you should definitely go ahead and subscribe to us. That's going to be the Tech Summit podcast over here on YouTube. And they're still tweaking other things as well, such as the Magic Dust feature that I showed off over here in order to make it more precise. I would like to see more fine-tuning options for the user in the future as well. But I genuinely think that a lot of people will be beyond happy when it comes to this offering from Podcastle because of how easy it is to use, and the platform is free as well. So, go nuts. Strongly recommended to those who need an affordable or even free way of doing a podcast, as this offers most of what you're going to be needing in order to get your podcast going, and it gives you very good guidelines as to where to go from there. And then once more, I would love to give a very big thanks to the folks over at Podcastle for sponsoring this video, as we very much appreciate having that kind of support, and we very much appreciate being able to show this kind of product to you all so that you are at the very least aware of it. But anyway, links to all of this down below. I would also love to give a very special thanks to all of my patrons, beginning with the tier 3s, which in this case are going to be Omar and Saad Al-Wazal. Thank you so much for all of your support, because it really does go a very long way. Now onto the tier 2s coming right up. And this is super important. I would just like to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, which are going to be listed right here on the screen. Again, a massive thanks to you all for supporting us to help us create the kind of content that we bring to you on a day-to-day basis. And thank you so much for supporting the Tech Summit podcast as well. And just remember that if you would like to be a part of this community too, and then do make sure to check out the links to our Patreon, where you don't only get bonus episodes of our podcast, but you also get automatically entered into one of our monthly giveaways of a tech product that we have reviewed that is of at least $50 in value or higher. So links to that down below. And also don't forget to follow me over on Instagram and on Twitch, where I do stream fairly often. But with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.